Hey, welcome back to the Big Red Zone. We are very excited for today's show. We talk all about the NFL again. Devastating injury from Dak. We'll get into that. The Falcons' demise in a Super Bowl a few years ago. Now everyone's getting canned and we're tossing in the air. We'll also go to MLB playoffs and NBA playoffs. We'll talk about, recap that, and preview the ALCS, NLCS, and the World Series. All that and more on this week's episode of the Big Red Zone. Welcome to the podcast. It's the Big Red Zone. I'm your host, Big Red. As always, I am joined by producer John.
Yo.
And now, the guest, no longer guest host, the official co-host of the Big Red Zone, Danny Football.
In Sharpie.
Here.
Write it in Sharpie.
Write it in There's a picture up behind that. There's a picture behind that. I almost knocked that over. I always forget that. But Danny Football is here. And we have a lot. Sign your name. Where'd you find a Sharpie?
That was my pen.
Oh, pen.
My one backpack pen.
How's everyone doing? Long week?
Not good.
Not good.
Not good. I've lost 2 in a row in the Big Red Zone League, and I'm not feeling good about it.
Yeah, and John, actually, you've lost 2.
I saw a deer yesterday.
Oh.
Who cares? Who cares about the deer?
You're not excited about that? So I was walking down the trail. It was like 8 feet from me. Like, I didn't just see the deer.
Is this
like
real?
It was like,
Did you
yeah,
really
it
see a
happened
deer?
yesterday.
All right, that's a little. I thought you just said it. I thought you just said
no,
I came
I
out
really
and
saw a deer
All
yesterday.
right, tell us about it.
Well,
Forget whatever
trying
we
to.
had on the list.
So I was walking in Borderland State Park.
Okay.
Of those who are familiar.
Okay.
And it started to get dark, and I was like, I'm pretty far down this trail. I probably should start heading back. And it started to get dark out, and all of a sudden I had my AirPods in, and all of a sudden I started to hear some rustling. I looked to my right, probably like no more than 8 feet from you was this deer, and it started walking towards me.
Oh, deer.
And I started getting scared, so that was gonna like attack me.
Yeah. Deers
And,
don't attack.
Well, how do you?
You don't know that, dude.
What,
Come
did a
on.
deer tell you that? What do you mean?
I talk to one every week, once a week. We're doing it in Borderland State Park.
This is a
I just
nature
walked-
podcast.
Yeah, I was taking
now.
a nature walk.
You're
Bro.
just going for a walk?
Going for a walk.
Wow.
I saw a deer.
There's no walks in Taunton, Mass that you want to go for a walk?
I don't know. Why are you on me about my?
I don't
my
know.
walking?
That's interesting that we went to Borderland State Park
a nice
for a walk.
park.
It is a nice park. Nothing against Borderland State Park.
Where do you want me to walk?
I don't know. I'm just asking. Just throwing out questions.
No deers in the city.
No deers in the city. That's true. That's true. You wouldn't have been able to have that great story.
I think it was my spirit animal.
Deer?
Well, I don't know. It was the spirit animal, and it was coming to say hi to me.
Oh.
Yeah,
wow.
dude. Sucks that Dak broke his leg.
Jeez.
What a brutal open, guys.
What a transition.
Absolutely brutal.
Welcome to the podcast, Danny.
Yeah, congrats.
You got this to look forward to.
No, give me the official title, and it turns into a nature podcast 5 minutes in.
Special guest Ted Williams is here. Are you excited about being on the show?
For the listeners,
Oh yeah. Sorry.
you gotta. Come on.
We
Do
have
you hate the listeners?
What?
Do you hate the listeners?
No, I love the listeners.
Are you more? Do you like the people that watch the video more
I love
than
them
you?
both. Both are listens,
Okay.
pal. I'll
Sounds-
take anyone I can get.
Sounds like you kind of dislike the
Well,
listeners.
Maybe they could have just lived a dream and thought Ted Williams was on the show. Now you just ruined that.
That'd be cool.
That would be cool. I think we'll cut that. Let's get to our. We're just.
I'm
We're gonna
Turning
cut
my mic off
Yeah,
now.
we're
Oh
gonna-
my
Thank
God.
you, John. We'll try to save this podcast going forward. So we're gonna get to our first segment of the episode, weekend recap. It's the weekend recap. All right. So for the first game of weekend recap, I think we're going to get into Raiders upsetting the undefeated defending champions, Kansas City Chiefs. What an upset, I must say.
Great look for Jay Gruden and co, but not a good look for Patty Mahomes. Not looking good yesterday.
That was that was a bad loss. I sadly put the Kansas City defense in fantasy football and got me -5 points. They were just awful on defensively. I'll tell you, I wasn't a big fan of him so far in the season, but he impressed yesterday. Henry Ruggs,
Huge day.
and he's like someone said this earlier on sports radio that he's kind of turned into a mini Tyreek Hill. I'm not ready to say Tyreek Hill yet because Tyreek Hill is just one of the fastest human beings I've ever seen in my life, but he's definitely kind of fitting in that role for Oakland, and he is fast. He is.
Let me see if I can get his
man.
final score line. 1 second.
He had way over 100 yards, and I mean,
He had 2 receptions for 118 yards and 1 touchdown.
yeah, it was unbelievable. And it's like you said, it's 2 big burst plays, which he's a boomer bust kind of guy.
Kind of DK Metcalf-esque.
Yeah, but DK Metcalf does a lot in the short game too.
True.
He does. He can do the little slants and get a bunch of receptions. Which maybe that will come with him. I mean, we've only seen a game or 2 out of Ruggs, so yet to see. But the offense was clicking on all cylinders for the Raiders. Josh Jacobs had a big day.
Carr had a huge day.
Derek Carr, that was
outgunned Mahomes.
That was probably the best performance I've seen out of at least for this season. But Derek Carr,
I'd argue since he's been injured a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
I think that was his best game.
That was probably his best game so far. And Darren Waller.
Love that performance out of Waller.
He's one of the best tight ends out here. Just all around good performance by the Raiders. I mean, if you score 32 points, normally you should win that game, but the defense for the Raiders, man, that was tough. That was a tough performance. They had a bunch of blown coverages. They just couldn't get off the field. It was just bad. It was bad.
Bad look for the Chiefs, man. Just gives me even more confidence that the Pats could beat them with Cam Newton behind the center.
I have no doubts that the Pats
I
will
don't
beat
think
them.
the Chiefs are. I mean, they're a good team. They won a Super Bowl, but I don't think they're as good as they were last year or even the year before that.
I think they're still very good. I mean, I think
they're beatable.
They're definitely beatable. The first game of the season really made me nervous, and I'll tell you why. It's because Clyde Edwards-Helaire had a really good first game, and I was like, man, that's the one thing that I would say weakness. If you had to pick a weakness on the offense, I think running back, like a bell cow running back, has always been their weakness as of last year and the year before. But he looked like he was going to be the guy. I've seen bursts of it, but I haven't seen a complete game since the first.
No, I mean, he
game.
had those 25 carries, 138 yards in the opener, 10 carries, 38 yards the next week, 20 for 64, 16 for 64, and then yesterday was 10 for 40. I don't know if it's just a matter of them not factoring him into the offense as much as they did in the opener, or if something else is happening up in Kansas City. But he's been kind of falling off a little bit.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like they're definitely beatable, and I feel like they should probably go to him because his carries aren't up. Like, his carries are pretty down. So if I'm the Kansas City Chiefs, I think you just got to start pounding the ball a little bit more and take the pressure off Mahomes. I mean, when you got Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce.
Mahomes threw 43 times yesterday.
Yeah, that's a lot. And I mean, if you're playing against him, I always said the best way to play against him is put pressure on him. And if he's throwing the ball every time, that gives defenses a lot more freedom to put pressure on the quarterback. So I think they need to start pounding the ball a little more. What do I know, though? I mean, Andy Reid knows a little more than I do, but I think they definitely need to start pounding the ball a little more through Clyde Edwards-Helaire. But great win for the Raiders, terrible loss for the KC Chiefs.
The Patriots in the AFC Championship parade is back on. I think we can do this now.
I feel confident.
I feel a lot more confident seeing them lose to a team that we beat.
And I think you said going into the halftime, we should have been tied.
Mm-hmm.
And then
if Brian Hoyer doesn't puke on his shirt, we're in that game.
Yeah, it's like. And
then if Jarrett Stidham knew how to throw a pass, we'd be winning the game.
Those two, we won't get into it. I don't think that was really on him. That first interception was not on him. The pick six, that was not on Jarrett Stidham. Julian Edelman's got to catch that ball. It was off his hands.
I'm out on Jarrett Stidham.
You're out. You've been out since we said Jarrett Stidham was going to be the guy. I have my predictions. I have a couple predictions of who it's going to be. We'll get to it later when we start talking about it, but I have a couple predictions. I tweeted out one of them, but now with the new news that just came out today, Actually, when we're going to talk about, I'll tell you one of them coming into the next game we're going to talk about, and then the last game we're going to talk about. I have a prediction who's going to be the starting quarterback next year.
I'm just along for the ride.
I'm looking forward to it. So let's get into the second game, Cowboys versus Giants. This was one of the most devastating games I have watched in a long time. That injury to Dak Prescott, all thoughts and prayers with him, was a gruesome sight. It gave me PTSD to the Gordon Hayward injury, and it was just a brutal, brutal injury to his ankle.
That was tough to watch, man. I mean, typical CBS, they zoomed right in on his ankle going sideways.
Idiots.
Just like ESPN did for
Gordon Hayward.
But man, that was so hard to see. The guy has been putting on a clinic all season long. He was due to smash the single season passing record by a long margin.
By a lot.
But just a freak accident, rolls his ankle, happens to pop out, and man, that was brutal to see, man. I was gutted for him. That was rough.
And I heard his surgery went well yesterday. I mean, he's got a long road of recovery, but especially off his right ankle, I think that's his plant foot. Like he throws off. He's a righty, right?
I don't watch enough Cowboys to know that.
He's a righty, right? He's a righty. I think he's a righty.
Are you looking at John?
John, you know, right? He's a righty.
Yeah, he's a quarterback.
Yeah. So I think that's his plant foot. Like when he drops back, that's his plant foot. So that's got to, be tough coming back on that. It's just like it's kind of like Alex Smith, which is like, that was one of the greatest stories in sports. He came back yesterday and got to play, and I'm nervous every time he throws the ball, but it was great to see him back on the field. And now we have another guy going through, I don't want to say a less injury because they're both devastating, but I mean, Alex Smith almost died. So I think it's, I think it's like
he's a righty.
He's a righty. So it's plant foot. So it's Zach. Zach's always on the
always fact checking.
Fact check. Thank you, Zach. It's gonna be a tough road ahead of him, but I wish him nothing but the best because I think he's one of the best. He doesn't get the respect he deserves.
No, definitely not.
He's one of.
But you never want to see that happen to anyone.
He's a top,
especially
top
a guy like that.
Yeah, especially, and it's tough for him because he's in his contract year.
On the franchise tag, yeah.
On the franchise tag. He hasn't got paid big at all in his career because he's on a rookie day.
To have a good season, get that long extension, and now it's... I mean...
He's not going to get it. Not the extension that he thinks he's going to... Like, he deserves, I should say. He's not going to get the extension he deserves.
I did see that Jones said that he is the future at quarterback regardless of the injury, but I do wonder what kind of contract he will get now with this injury.
Yeah.
Because granted, I don't think he'll play next season. I don't know how quick he'll be able to bounce back from this. I'd probably say no for next season. So at that point, the Cowboys are planning for 2 seasons from now, so I'm not sure how that'll go.
Now, he had a compound fracture in his ankle. Hayward had it in his tibia. I wonder what is like necessarily like faster. What's a faster recovery if they're the same thing? Well, I don't know. If there's any doctors out there that listen to the podcast or medical professionals, hit us up. Let us know.
Fractured ankle, time to heal. 6 weeks for the broken bones to heal. May take longer for involved ligaments and tendons to heal.
And dislocation.
Let's see Dak Prescott return time.
Because I don't know if it's necessarily as it's probably equal to, if not
roughly 4 to 6 months.
Yeah, so I think he'll be back by next season. I think that's, since it's so early, I think he'll be back by next season because what? How many months away is that? It's November, December, January, February, March, April, May, June, July. That's like 8-9 months away is when they start. 10 months away till minicamp start. So maybe he misses the beginning, like preseason, he's limited and misses the beginning of camp, maybe the first couple weeks. I think he'll play next year. But again, who knows how strong that ankle's going to be and how healthy he's going to be to play.
Which is why I think that'll affect his contract.
Right. Oh, I 100% agree. I think it's going to be I think he's not going to get what money he deserves. Now, does he take a short-term deal? Maybe the Cowboys offer him a one-year deal, some decent money. This is the one I was going to predict. Now, I didn't hear the Jerry Jones comment that he said he's the future quarterback of the Cowboys. I think this situation lines up perfectly with what the Patriots would do. This is who I think the Patriots are going to go after. Now,
Dak Prescott?
I think they're going to go after him because they can get him on a cheaper deal than normal. They'll give him a decent deal. They need a quarterback, a young quarterback of the future. The way Cam's playing, he's playing himself into a huge contract that the Patriots aren't going to pay. And it seems like it just seems right. I think this just seems like, when you see a quarterback and you think this guy could play. Now, I didn't think that with Cam, but this guy could play like for the New England Patriots. He seems like a Patriot guy. I can see Dak playing for the New England Patriots. You don't think so?
That would be a wild, wild turn of events for Dak to go to New England. I'd like to have him here. I just don't know if that makes sense from the Patriots' point of view to bring in a guy who just snapped his leg. But if he wants a prove-it deal and Dallas doesn't want to give it to him and Bill does, then I think I'd welcome him.
Now, that's the thing. Like, I feel like that him snapping his ankle is exactly what the Patriots do. They always pick up guys that are hurt who aren't going to get their full value, and they'll get them for a lesser amount. Like Cam Newton. Like, they're not going to sign Dak for that low of a deal, but they could give him like a 2-year deal worth like not as much as what he should be paid. And then if he has a good year, then you say, all right, that's our QB of the future. If not, see you later. I thought Dak was going to be, he was one of my picks for potential QBs of the New England Patriots before he got hurt. Because I didn't think Dallas was going to pay him. And I thought maybe the Patriots would spend a little bit, or not as much, but spend some to get Dak in there as their quarterback. I thought Bill would try to go after Dak.
See, I think this Dak injury opens up the possibility for the Pats, not with Dak, but his backup and now QB1 Andy Dalton, who gets a couple weeks to play himself back into being a QB1, get some looks.
He's got half the season.
Get some looks, put up some numbers. He looked good. He looked good in relief. So this is Andy Dalton's time to shine. Prove that he could be a QB1 in the league again, and then, hey, there were a bunch of rumors this offseason that Bill wanted him, so
Andy
Bill
Dalton's
gets another
not
look.
going to the Patriots.
Bill gets another look.
I don't think he's going to the Patriots. Andy Dalton is a get you to. He's a guy that's like a in between guy. He's not a permanent solution. I don't think there's a chance that he comes to the Patriots. I guess there's a chance, but whatever. So on that note, the other thing I want to say is the Giants looked pretty good in that game. They lost, but I think they had a lot of things going for them, and they didn't look terrible. They didn't look great, but it's tough to be 0-5 and be happy with where they're at, but I feel like there's growth there. I mean, their center is a rookie, and he's improving every year. I feel like another year or so, they'll be a decent team in the NFL. They'll be a decent team, I think, in the NFL.
Yeah, I'm not sure what their expectations heading into the season were, but especially when you lose Saquon Barkley right off the bat,
right? I mean,
you kind of have to temper whatever expectations those were. I don't think they thought they were going to be a playoff team. Maybe more of just a set the tone, build a culture sort of year. But yeah, 0-5 is rough. But if you're going to start playing some close games, you're going to get a couple wins eventually. I think this is definitely a good bridge year to finally maybe pop off next year.
Moving off of the Cowboys-Giants game, let's go to the Panthers-Falcons. Now, Panthers, I thought they were struggling. I thought they were going to struggle without Christian McCaffrey. They were going to be in rough shape. But Mike Davis has really come in and really filled that void for them, and actually has helped them go on win games. They've won more games. You know what I mean? They're on a winning streak right now. But on the other side of the ball, the Falcons have just completely disintegrated. And it's nothing like I've ever seen before. This team was the best team in football. How many years ago? 4 years ago?
Yeah, about 4 years ago.
About 4 years ago. They had the MVP. You have one of the best wide receivers in the game in Julio Jones. You added a young stud receiver.
Mm-hmm.
They just signed Todd Gurley, who, is a shell of himself, but still
A serviceable back.
Serviceable back. One of the better, like, if you had to say, like, who your top running backs in the game are, especially with the injuries right now, he's definitely towards the top in the NFL, even with being a shell of himself. And they still find a way to lose games.
I mean, this was the clear house game, man. Everyone kind of caught it after this one. Quinn and the GM are out. The owner, Arthur Blank, said he wouldn't commit to Matt Ryan in the future. And even Julio Jones, man, who knows about Julio Jones at this point? If they're going to start cutting bait and clearing house,
I think they're going to start cleaning house.
I don't know if anyone's safe anymore.
And Julio Jones is the perfect person to start, like, him and Matt Ryan. They're older guys in the league. They're not young guys to build around, especially if you're not building around Matt Ryan, you're going to look for a new QB. Matt Ryan's not the problem, by the way.
No,
he's definitely not the problem. And Julio Jones isn't the problem. But if you're going to start looking for draft picks and start, like, trying to rebuild the team, those are some of the guys that are, like, first in the pecking order where you can get some serious value for
They're
them.
definitely in a position to get the number one pick and maybe bring in Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah. So I mean, if in that regard, I guess then let's start cutting bait with Matty Ryan, which is the other guy I was thinking of the Pats may go after. He's a BC guy. He's still got a little juice left in the tank. He's he's a veteran, has the right attitude mentally. He throws the ball, good football. He's really good, so I think I could see the Patriots trying to go after him again. In a league where the quarterback position, very few teams need a quarterback. I think he is I think he's a potential Patriot going forward.
Would you bring in him and Julio in the same package? Maybe
I would bring both
Sign
of them.
both of them?
I don't think you can do that. I don't foresee anything in that potential. Like, I'd have to look at the picks that they have and some young pieces. I think they would be mainly wanting picks, but I don't foresee a package that the Falcons would take that the Patriots could offer. Patriots hate draft picks anyway. They hate top draft picks anyway, so you might as well trade them away. But
ooh, Matt Ryan is signed for a long time.
Yeah, he signed a huge extension.
Although, no, there's a opt-out at one point. Okay.
But he signed a huge extent. Why is he going to opt out?
I wouldn't trade for him, but
yeah, I think he's in a similar position of why Andy Dalton wasn't traded for, where he's got a lot of years locked up for a lot of money. But they may, if he gets cut or like they part ways, he'd be a guy that I could see the Patriots going after. Julio, I think, is locked up for a while too, right?
yeah, he is. Yeah, that would be a trade.
But I would be fine with trading for Julio, trading a first round pick or first and second or first and maybe first and I don't know, package some picks together and try to get Julio Jones. I'd like that. But it's truly crazy how much the Falcons have just crumbled. It's astonishing to me. And the fact that the owner doesn't want to commit to Matt Ryan and Julio, they didn't say Julio Jones, but I'm assuming, Julio Jones is older. They'll want to get rid of him.
That might be a similar situation to when the Bengals are going to go to Joe Burrow and just kind of hung on to AJ Green instead of kind of moving off of AJ Green, and clearly AJ Green doesn't want to be there anymore. So I do wonder if they do cut bait with Matt Ryan, bring in a rookie, whether that is Trevor Lawrence or someone else, that either Julio Jones himself or the team, the new GM, the new coach kind of look around and say, does he want to be here anymore? Or Julio himself says, do I want to be here anymore?
But I think Julio Jones and AJ Green are a total different playing field. Like, AJ Green is just injury ridden, and not saying Julio Jones doesn't get hurt, but I think when I think of Julio Jones and AJ Green, I think of Julio Jones up here and AJ Green down here. I don't think they're close.
Yeah, but I think the situation on their mentality would be similar in that you're bringing in a young QB, like Burrow came in was a young QB for AJ Green. and AJ Green clearly isn't happy with the direction of the team.
Yeah.
And I think that could possibly happen with Julio, whereas if you bring in a rookie and you're kind of making it apparent, hey, we're starting over, it's a rebuild. I do wonder if Julio himself, like AJ Green, would think, I don't want to be here anymore. I kind of want to win ball games.
We'll have to see. I do think you're right. I think Julio Jones is going to be a guy that they will be one of those guys they say, all right, look, can we get some picks for him and try to start this rebuild a little faster? But that's our weekend recap. We'll look at the games next week. That's a fun segment. A lot happened this week. A lot of big news came up in the weekend recap. With that said, let's take a look at next week with our picks of the week. Picks of the week. All right, so Zach, you're almost 0 for 2 for 2 weeks in a row with your games getting canceled. 2 for 2
with getting the cancellation games.
But I mean, they could play tomorrow. It's still up in the air, but who knows? I think they will play tomorrow. But who are you going with next week's pick of the week?
That's why I'm going to double down again. I'm going to go Bills over the Chiefs. That game will get moved, but I will say that the Bills are going to beat the Chiefs.
Now they may not, because you kept picking the Titans games, and the Titans games keep getting pushed back. Right?
Well, the Bills were part of this week's one, so I'm just gonna kind of keep riding the train.
Okay, I think you should have went Titans again.
No, I hate the Titans.
I hate the Titans.
Just like the YouTube commenter said that we hate the Titans. I hate the Titans, but I am gonna go with the Bills. White Lightning. Josh Allen's gonna get this done. Chiefs are gonna start slipping. I think this is when they slump.
I would be amazing if they do. If you told me that the Raiders were going to beat the Chiefs, I would probably be.
That would have been a bold pick of the week.
Would have been a bold pick of the week. My bold pick is still yet to be played. Chargers play tonight. I have the Chargers from last week. I had Chargers.
With Mr. Justin Herbert at the helm.
Justin Herbert at the helm. I kind of hope I'm wrong because I'm playing a lot of Saints players are on my teams, and I'm playing against some Chargers guys, including Justin Herbert. So I kind of hope I'm wrong, but for the sake of the podcast, I hope I'm right. For this week, I'm going kind of two. If you told me the Browns were going to be a good team,
I was going to say sneaky team right now.
Sneaky team.
4-1 team.
I'm picking against them because I don't believe in that team. I'm going Steelers over the Browns. Steelers looked good last week. Big Ben looked good. My pick of the week, my waiver pickup of the week, who will remain nameless, is in that game, and he had an unbelievable game. And James Conner's playing well, Big Ben's playing well. Juju had a quiet day, but I think he's going to pick it up, and their defense is playing great. So I'm going Steelers over the Browns. But like you said, probably will all get canceled anyway, so who cares? But that's our picks of the week. COVID's been crazy.
COVID's kind of messing everything up, and I'm starting to worry it's actually going to mess with the season at this point.
I just don't see how the NFL is going to be able to keep doing this. They would have had to think of, all right, we're going to have people test positive. We said that in the beginning. We're like, someone's going to test positive. What are we going to do? And I feel like they're just making it up as they go. So they moved the Patriots.
They've moved Broncos a lot of games. Let me see if I can find them all.
Well, they moved the Patriots-Broncos game to next week.
It was going to be tonight.
It was supposed to be tonight.
Because it was already it got postponed to Monday.
Yeah.
And then postponed again till next week.
Yes.
Right. And because another player tested positive. They moved it to next week, but now they got to move the Broncos game against.
All right, I have a laundry list of changes. If you want me to start reading them off, we got Kansas City and the Bills was moved from Thursday to Monday. That's the game I just picked, so great. Jets and Dolphins are going from week 10 to week 6. Jets and Chargers are going from week 6 to week 11. Jaguars and the Chargers game is going from week 8 to week 7. Chargers and Broncos from 11 to 8. Chargers at Dolphins, week 7 to week 10. And the Dolphins and Broncos game is moving from week 6 to week 11. So
that's next week's game.
Everything is shifting. Everything's changed.
And
all of those magnet schedules you have on your fridge are wrong.
You might as well throw them out right now because it's not right. The Patriots now lose their bye week, which this is their bye week, so I guess they don't lose it. But it's just a big mess. Like, you can't just keep moving. Like, all right, we're gonna move this game there, this game here, this game here, this game here, this game here, this game here. It's gonna be ridiculous. They should have done a bubble situation, which is something that I preached for in the beginning. They had plenty of time to come up with it, but they sat on their thumbs and said no, this is what we're doing.
I think their ace in the hole is just adding another week at the end of the season, but I feel like they're waiting until the absolute last, ditch effort before they do that.
The other situation they could always do is say, I mean, they can't always do this, but if it gets bad enough, they shut it down for 2 weeks and then come back 2 weeks later. Because they can always do that.
Or we can just kick the Titans out of the league just for this season.
I mean,
seems to be they're the only issue right now.
They were the one that started, but you know what? Look at who started it in the MLB. They almost made it to the World Series in the Miami. Oh my goodness, Miami Marlins. They were almost favorites. They had an unbelievable season. So look out for the Titans, I guess. I don't know.
Nope.
But yeah, it's just crazy. They can't afford to keep doing this. They could have easily done a bubble in Texas. This is what happens. They got stadiums.
I do wonder if they're going to bubble for the playoffs.
They have to. I mean, there was word that the MLB was going to try to do a bubble for the playoffs. They never did.
They're doing neutral site games right now.
Yeah. I mean, which I guess is kind of...
That's like a
bubble-esque.
Like a little baby bubble.
So they could have done it. There's enough in Texas. They went to Texas. They have the Cowboys Stadium. They have the Texans Stadium. Plus, you got on every block, there's a big football stadium. They could have easily done it down in Texas. I don't understand why they didn't do it. But to each his own. They got to figure out a way, because there's going to be more people that test positive for this. They got to figure out what they're going to do going forward. Besides, we're going to just move a ton of games each week to make it work.
Before we move on from the NFL completely, I just want to shovel some more dirt on the Leonard Fournette grave. Didn't play on Thursday, and it's not looking good for him. So, just saying.
Yeah, it was a good place for him to go sign, huh? We're not leaving the football yet, Danny. We still got another.
Well, I was thinking more just general.
In general, NFL,
because the waiver pickup, I'm ready for that.
Waiver pickup of the week we have, and I'm going with a guy I just talked about. I kind of double down on each week. I feel like I'm doubling down on all. I talk about last week I did Chargers. This week I'm doing Steelers. I'm going Chase Claypool. Shout out. I mean, I don't know if he just picked him randomly or just had some faith in him or heard something or just I'm looking for a rookie. Jack Moran draft. Shout out Jack.
He also broke the Falcons news in the chat. He said Quinn was fired.
Oh, in the chat? He broke it in the chat. I was going to say, he said, I told you guys he was going to do it. I was like, did you listen to the podcast? Danny Football and I said he should have been canned a year ago. Chase Claypool had an amazing day. He was, I think Big Ben only threw to him. He had 7 receptions, 110 yards, 3 touchdowns, and then he had 3 rushes on 6 yards, 1 touchdown. So the guy had 4 touchdowns in the day. It's just an unbelievable day. He had, he's only rostered in 8.8% of leagues. He's a rookie. Go get him in keeper leagues. He'll be a guy that you can keep for the future if he continues this success. But a guy that scores 4 touchdowns in a game, you got to go put on your roster.
Yeah, 4:54 p.m. Jack Moran alerted us that Dan Quinn was fired, so I just want to give him the proper source.
Yeah.
Give him the proper source. My waiver pickup of the week is going to be my guy Andy Dalton, who's now a starting quarterback. He's rostered in 0.2% of leagues, so he's definitely out there, guys. Completed 9 of 11 passes, had 108 passer rating, and he got the win. So if you're a little desperate at quarterback, give the Red Rifle a shot.
How many fantasy points did he have?
Good question. You want to ramble while I find that?
Yeah. Ramble. He did look. I will say about Andy Dalton, I don't think you should. I don't agree with Zach with saying you should pick him up, but he did make some good plays down the stretch of that game. Unbelievable catches, by the way, by Gallup. I was about to write Gallup's signing. Yeah, I was ready to sign him off. I was ready to drop him, to be honest with you, in some leagues. He was so bad, but he actually made up for it at the end of that game, making some unbelievable catches. And also along with CeeDee Lamb, he made some great catches. And I'm running out of things to say, Zach, so you better find the stats.
I got it.
And we're here, Andy Dalton.
I got it. Don't worry. Andy Dalton put up a 2.44. Not bad, guys. Not bad.
2.44 points. So if you're looking for 2.4 points, Andy Dalton,
he'll get the work done.
Don't go get Andy Dalton, people. Wait a little bit. Zach's gonna.
A lot of
pick
hate
him
on
up.
this podcast. You all buried him, and now he's alive again.
Now going into week 5, we're going into week 6 now. I thought it was a good idea. If you don't care, that's fine. But the Big Red Zone Fantasy League, I think it's only fair we give some updates. John, who had an amazing start to the year, has now fizzled a little bit.
Well, in my defense, I forgot to set my roster this week.
Hear that? I think it's a bunch of excuses coming out. He's going to turn up the volume so we can hear the excuses. Producer John is now in 3rd place in the Jimmy League. I will say, I if everything goes what it should be, I am leading the Big Red League, and Danny Football is leading the Jimmy League. It's
couple rough last 2 weeks on a 2-game losing streak, but I still have the head-to-head over James.
If you're in a two-game losing streak and still in first place, I think you're
doing something right.
Well, you know what's crazy too? The winner becomes the new co-host.
Damn. It's wild what happened. Producer John is really going all in because he wants to become the new co-host. He wants to make Danny Football producer Danny.
He's only a game behind. He's closing in. Although I have the head-to-head over him too, so.
And I mean, we talk about parity in this league. Everyone's either 3-2 or 2-3. That's
nuts.
Close.
Crazy.
That's close.
Who would have thought?
Who would have thought? Jack Moran having a terrible. I have to shout out
now
Jack.
We're dumping on him again.
Jack, not a strong showing from the Big Red Zone League. He claims he doesn't care, but I think he secretly cares. Dave Griffin, again, he was laughed at, ridiculed by not only the 9 people in that group in that draft, but America. And now he is right in 2nd place in the Big Red League. So shout out to Dave Griffin, the madman himself. He figured something out. But yeah, I think it's fun. It's coming down. It's like going to be, I think, down to the last week who's going to win that league. And I'm sure no one else cares, but for us 3, I think it's fun. I think it's entertaining. We need to figure out the trophy situation too. And that's something that we need to get on for the as we get close to the end here.
Maybe it'll be Ted Williams right there.
Oh,
Ted Williams isn't going anywhere. This is my guy. This is.
How much I think that's worth? Not a lot.
I don't know. It said I looked on the bottom.
Let's find out.
It's 1,887 or 97 out of 5,009.
Sounds like a lot.
Ted.
I don't know if that's a lot in like bobblehead standards.
It's a limited edition handcrafted collectible.
Ooh.
Legends of the Diamond, Cooperstown.
Maybe we're sitting on a gold mine here.
This may pay for the new studio. No, I'm just kidding, Ted. You're going to stay with us right here.
You broke Oil Can Boyd earlier.
Yeah, we were going to bring out Oil Can, and he just disintegrated. That's not him.
No. Would have gotten $300 for that one.
$300?
Ooh, see you, Ted.
See you, Ted. New camera. So on that note, stepping away from football and Ted Williams, we're going to get into a little NBA Finals recap. It ended last night. The Los Angeles Lakers win their, what is it now, 17th, 18th at this point? What are they calling it?
They're claiming it's their 17th.
Championship, which is completely false. It got me confused. I had to text Danny Football, and I was like, what is this nonsense about them having the same amount of records, championships as the Boston Celtics? I can see, hold on. I can see him getting revved up right now. I can see it in his face. He's ready to go off. I'm just going to let him go. Go ahead. Give us your thoughts on the NBA Finals.
So the Lakers claim championships that aren't theirs. So I think it's 5. Let me make sure. But they claim that they have their 17 now, which isn't true because they take a couple titles from when they were in Minnesota. So let me make sure that I actually have the right number. I think it's 5. In which case, the Lakers only have 12 in Los Angeles, and they're just claiming championships that they don't deserve.
They do have 12 in Los Angeles.
There you go. So you tell me, is 17 more than 12? Yes. Boston still has the most championships. You can't just move locations and still say that you claim that banner. You can't do it. The Dodgers don't claim Brooklyn. I'm sure Oklahoma City doesn't claim the championships from Seattle.
Right.
What are we doing here? The Nationals don't recognize any of the Expo stuff.
They didn't win the
the
Expos.
Lakers. You want to talk about pumping up your own numbers? I mean, padding the stats. Here come the Lakers adding 5 more championships that they didn't win.
Yeah.
And producer John mentioned it earlier. They only won those championships when they're hitting granny-style shots with no three-point line.
Yeah, they were using bread baskets back then.
Exactly.
When they
So
were.
don't come at me when you say the Boston Celtics won championships in black and white TV. The Lakers were winning championships long before there was even television, boys.
Yeah, I think it's pretty ridiculous. To that, I texted you right away. I was like, this doesn't seem right. I thought the Celtics had 17 and they had 12. You're like, nope, they have 12. I said, they just said that on live television. They were absolutely false. With that said, they did win 12. They have won 12.
They won the 12.
They'll
tell you it's 17 because they want to be neck and neck with Boston, but it's not true.
Don't listen to them. It's the 12th. One thing that
I think I know what the Instagram clip's gonna be.
One thing that people have asked, and I think it's a fair question, is there an asterisk next to this championship?
As much as I want there to be one, I'm going to say no. My philosophy heading into the bubble tournament the whole time was it's fake unless the Celtics win it, in which case it's very real. So I want to say all that the Lakers did was win an AAU tournament down in Florida to get the Larry O'Brien trophy. But
they won it fair and
the
square.
NBA played the majority of the season. Nothing really got changed with the playoff picture. The Blazers got in. They beat the Blazers, which was going to be their kryptonite. I do want to kind of ding them for not having to play the Clippers in the Western Conference Finals, but that's on the Clippers for not getting.
Clippers blew it.
That's on the Clippers for not getting through to the next round. So I won't give them an asterisk. They definitely earned it. I will say if they were going to win it in any season, I'm glad it's this one where it's an empty gym, no fans, and just guys hanging out on the floor together. So as far as I'm concerned, in my mind it's fake, but in the record book it's real.
I say I'm with you. There's no asterisk next to this. They played the majority of the season. The way they did the bubble wasn't like the NHL playoffs, which I think the Bruins got absolutely hosed.
Yes, that was a horrible idea.
That's where I would say yes. Like, let's say the Lakers were like an 8 seed and then somehow got
played
the 1
themselves
seed.
into a 1 seed. Yeah,
that's where I think there's an asterisk, and that's where I think they're, when it comes to seeding, that's where I think they play the majority of the season. The seeding really only mattered for the bottom seeds. The Lakers could have sat out the first those 6 games that they played for regular season, and they still would have been, the 1-2 seed, wherever seed they were going to be. So, in that regard, I don't think it's a fake championship. I don't think it's an asterisk. They won it fair and square. However, what you said is true. They did get lucky, which I think happens in the NBA Finals. I think luck definitely helps. Like, if you get a matchup, you get the right matchup. Beside the Blazers, they didn't have to play the Clippers, who were the favorites throughout the season. They didn't have to play the Celtics. They didn't have to play the Bucks. Give respect to the Miami Heat team. I got a lot of hate for saying that I was embarrassed from the NBA championship, which if you're a green teamer and are happy with going to the Eastern Conference Finals every year and losing, fine. I want to win an NBA championship. I want to win Banner 18, and I'm not happy with losing in the Eastern Conference Finals against a team that you should have beaten in 4-5 games. With that said, give respect to the Miami Heat because they played
incredibly the entire series,
but they played hard. I think
you could play as hard as you want, but LeBron James just trucked them, man.
The fact that they were in the NBA Finals is astonishing. You got to give them that.
That's a feather in their cap, but at the same time, it was really hard to watch. I didn't watch a minute of it, honestly.
They played into the Eastern Conference Final. They played into the
They played
NBA
their best
championship.
basketball in the playoffs, and then they got to the finals and decided that they didn't want to play anymore.
But what I was going to say is it showed in the NBA Finals, which is kind of what you said.
Right.
The Celtics were the better team.
100%.
They would have had a better championship. That's why I'm still irked that the Celtics lost, and I think that proves that my point of the Celtics should have been in the NBA Finals. But the Lakers didn't have to play the Celtics. They didn't have to play the Clippers. They didn't have to play, the Bucks, say, who were one of the better teams They didn't have to play, the top teams in the league, which give the Nuggets credit because they were the same thing. They beat good teams. They beat the Clippers. They beat, great teams. They got lucky. They didn't have to play the best top teams of the league.
And that would have been the same with the Celtics' path. If they made it past the Heat, they would have been able to just kind of leapfrog all these good teams and make it in off of lesser deserving teams. That being said, I think
the Raptors were a deserving team.
No,
they were a good team.
If they don't hit that 3-pointer, then they're dead in the water.
Right,
that's
but they're
a sweep.
still a good team. They're a championship caliber team.
Not
they
without
just
Kawhi
won.
Leonard. No,
they just won a championship. I know without Kawhi Leonard, but Kawhi Leonard was on a team that just choked, and he was one of the main people that choked. And I'm a big Kawhi guy. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to bash Kawhi, but he's probably my favorite player in the league. But he was on a team that just choked in the NBA in the NBA playoffs against the Denver Nuggets, who they're playing 3 centers to start the game. He should be putting the dagger in that game to win that series.
Yeah, him and George is not going to work out long term.
No, they choked. And they got, Doc Rivers probably got himself fired, but Doc's gone now. So who knows how long that series. Anyways, my point is I think they got lucky. Not lucky, they earned it. They earned it, they deserve it. And with any NBA championship, you get some luck any championship, you get some luck in your seeding. But I just wish that the Celtics were in that NBA final. I feel like it would have been at least a closer matchup.
Would have been a winnable series.
Another question that comes with this, and we have this, is who are you most happy for winning the NBA championship? Like, we were going through some of the guys, watching them celebrate, and I think of like Dwight Howard. Like Dwight Howard, a guy that's been in the league, and he's done a lot, and he's a guy that you think of, as a face of the league early in the 2000s, like when he was with Orlando, like winning dunk contests and being like block champions and all-stars, but he's never won that championship. He's one of the guys I was most happy for to win the championship.
I'm not going to go with Dwight. I don't really have a lot of sympathy for Dwight. He chose to leave Orlando after making a finals appearance. He quit on the Lakers the first time. He kind of bounced around because he was kind of a locker room problem. So I don't have much compassion for Dwight Howard. I don't think he's a good teammate. He kind of proved me wrong this season, but I still don't think he's a good teammate. I'm going to go with Alex Caruso because that dude has scratched and clawed his way from
Alex Caruso win
the G League all the way up to getting minutes on the bench to starting a couple games for the Lakers.
Starting the closeout game
exactly,
for the Lakers.
And getting finals minutes. No one would have ever guessed this a couple years ago. So if there's anyone on the Lakers, and it's really hard to pick because I don't like the Lakers, but I got to give respect to Alex Caruso, man. That dude fought for everything he has, and he finally has a ring, and that's incredible.
I have to say, with Dwight Howard, like, his problem wasn't that, I don't think so much it was his attitude. It was so much that the league changed right when he was going into his prime, or leaving his prime in his prime. The league changed. It switched from being where you have a center who's like a star in the league to now you have to have everyone shoot free, like 3-pointers. And like, that's why when I think of guys like him, I think of DeAndre Jordan and Blake Griffin, who guys couldn't develop that 3-point shot. They were shot blocking guys, more DeAndre Jordan, but they were true old school centers, and Dwight could never change that. Now, is leaving Orlando, I never fault people leaving. I'm more of a loyal guy, but I want to win. And say what you want, Orlando made it to the championship that year. It was kind of like Miami. They had no business playing LA in the championship that year. They were not the best team in the East. Are you
arguing for compassion for Dwight, or?
I'm arguing for compassion for Dwight.
I'm not going to give him any compassion.
But no, what I'm saying is, like, I
recognize that he had a long road and a hard road to get back to where he is, but I still don't. I still don't think, Dwight Howard finally won a championship. Good for him. No.
But when you say like he left Orlando to go to LA, if you were a star in the league, didn't have the pieces to beat.
I think it was a Kevin Durant situation where he chose to leave a team that he himself was the man for, and then went to the team that beat him.
Was it that next year, or was it the year after? A couple of years after.
You can keep defending Dwight Howard.
But in that series, they had no business being in the championship. It wasn't the same. It still was close to the same.
They
as
went through
Kevin
the
Durant.
Celtics to get there.
It wasn't, but they were also a banged up Celtics team. Injury. That was the curse of the injuries of the Celtics after they won the championship. But it wasn't even on the same stratosphere as Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant had the Golden State Warriors against the wall up 3-1. Oklahoma City was up 3-1 against the Warriors, and then they choked. The Orlando Magic had no business being in that championship game.
He demanded a trade the next season after the finals appearance.
Right, because they weren't going to win a championship because they weren't getting pieces in there.
I can't respect that, man.
Do you want to it comes down to it. If you want to be a guy that just puts up stats and like stays loyal, which I can't, I respect that. Or if you want to win championships.
His argument was that the Magic weren't doing enough to build a championship contender. And yet they were in the finals, though.
But they beat a banged-up Celtics team. They had no business.
This is a horrible debate.
And they got slammed by Kobe and the Lakers. Kobe and the Lakers, you think that was an even matchup, Kobe and the Lakers and the Magic?
No, but if you can get to the finals with that team, they're only a couple pieces away from being able to contend.
But they weren't getting those pieces. They were happy
in a shortened 66-game season.
But they were happy with that team. They weren't getting new pieces. Also, Turkoglu was getting older. All those pieces that they had in there were older pieces. They weren't getting any younger. They weren't bringing any younger studs in there. It wasn't like they went out and said, "All right, Dwight, we're gonna go get you like that young scorer."
I'm just gonna say I don't care that Dwight Howard won a championship. I feel no different than I did yesterday, or 2 days ago, or 3 days ago.
The other guy I was happy for was AD. I think AD. Now this will be the only time I'm happy for AD because
I could start a whole another argument with Anthony Davis.
Anthony Davis.
Remember that one time? This is about Anthony Davis. Remember that one time me and you went to a Celtics game?
And he got ejected and he got booed?
ejected and got booed out of the stadium.
I was one of those people booing.
I was booing, but I've never heard any other professional sports game. I've never been there with a "You suck" chant.
Damn.
The whole place started chanting "You suck" like it was an episode of SmackDown.
But that's what I'm saying. This guy was like one of the like main. I've never seen like a more like fast, abrupt nosedive of a career, and now he's an NBA championship. I think
I'm happy for Rondo and JR.
JR did nothing to get that ring. All he did was take his shirt off.
I was gonna say he took his shirt off at the end.
0 finals minutes logged,
and he got to right. You know who also I feel kind of bad for is Quinn Cook. Did you hear that story?
Isn't his dad was a big Lakers fan, right?
No, he's on the Lakers. He won the championship. Quinn Cook this year. They left him at the arena. The bus left without him. And
after they won.
And on the bus ride there, one of the players had an Instagram live going, and he commented in, "Hey, you guys better turn around and come get me. Win the NBA championship and get left real cool," or something like that. It was I think it was on like
That's mad funny.
How funny is that? You win the NBA championship and you get left that's sad. He's a 2-time champion now. He won one with the Warriors. I thought he won 2, but he won one with the Warriors. I keep mixing him up with McCaw. McCaw won 3 back-to-back championships because
I thought you were talking about like the heartfelt post he had for his dad. His dad was a huge Lakers fan.
No, he got left at the stadium.
God damn.
Screw his dad. He got left. What an idiot.
He was an NBA champion and he got champion.
You have compassion for Dwight Howard, but you're not going to have compassion for Cook winning one for his dad. Look at these pictures.
I love Quinn Cook. I never said anything bad. I just was saying that's a funny little story I heard.
I wish I could get these pictures up. Damn.
Now, I will say I'm not as big of a fan of AD as I'm not even a fan of Dwight Howard. I hate that I'm not a big fan of Dwight Howard. I'm just saying like he's been roasted and ridiculed for the last 10 years.
And I'll continue to do it.
And he won an NBA championship. Good for him. Is he a Hall of Famer, Danny Football? Can you put your hate aside to put him in the Hall of Fame? I'd have to look at the numbers. I'll put him in the Hall
of Fame for the Superman dunk alone.
I'd have to look at the numbers.
I'll give it to him just for the Superman dunk.
He could be a potential Celtic next year. Are you going to love him when he comes to
absolutely. The second you throw on a Celtics jersey, you're good with me.
If LeBron came to the Celtics, would you love LeBron?
Absolutely.
Yeah, 100%.
Absolutely.
Anyone
that heals all wounds.
The other question that keeps coming up is of all these questions is, will the Lakers continue this run and go on a dynasty championship run going forward? It all depends on Anthony Davis re-signing with the Lakers. Like, say what you want. LeBron won the MVP of the finals, but Anthony Davis is what gets that team over the hump. They, along with all the role players like Rondo. And to answer your question, John, I am happy for Rondo. I like Rondo. I hate that he helped LeBron win a championship for the Lakers. Like, that's doubling down what he's doing. But
what was the thing? He's the first player in history to win a championship with the Celtics and the Lakers.
yeah, that's a tough pill to swallow. But I think for the championship run, I think it depends on if Anthony Davis resigns. And then they need to get some role players in there. Like, I mean, Rondo was big for them in that game. Dwight Howard played big minutes. JaVale McGee played big minutes. Like, not this year, but he was like, he was always there for them. He didn't play in the finals. He didn't really do anything in the finals. But, Caruso, I don't know what his contract's like. They got some guy. Kuzma is in the same year as JT, so which I can't stand. Kyle Kuzma won a championship before Jason Tatum. Put that in your mind and marinate on that.
It's easy to do when LeBron's on the team.
It is easy. It is. It's like I said. They commented on that in the. They talked about that on the telecast, which Van Gundy deserves not to announce any other games.
I hate
that
Van
was
Gundy,
terrible.
man. I hate Van Gundy.
He said that Vogel did an immaculate job coaching this team. Like he did a tough job coaching this team.
He did a good job filling out the starting lineup and then sitting in a chair.
I've never seen someone get more credit for deciding if they should start Dwight Howard or Caruso in a game that you probably could sub them out in 5 minutes. I've never seen him get that much credit. This guy decided to go Caruso over Dwight Howard in this game. Like, come on, dude. Like, they have LeBron James and Anthony Davis on their team. They're going to win that game. Like, stop it. But I think it depends on if they can resign Anthony Davis. They're contenders for sure. But I mean, a lot of things depend.
I'd say their window is probably another 2 to 3 seasons.
Yeah, I mean, LeBron's still got some gas in the tank. I think he's still got a few more years of LeBron in him. I think you're right. I think it's 2 to 3 years.
But I think once LeBron stops being Superman, it'll be really, really hard for them to get back.
But Anthony Davis is still in his prime, and
I don't know if he could do it alone. He's proven he can't do it alone.
But even if you if LeBron knocked down a couple pegs, I think they still could do it. Like LeBron
depends on how
down
long he
a couple,
plays for, yeah.
Down a couple pegs from what he's at now is still a really good player. If he's gone completely,
I don't think there's a chance.
No, I don't think so. If one of those two guys leaves, there's no chance for them making a run. And lastly, this is something that Danny Football brought up to my attention. Bill Simmons, who is a Boston sports guy, said that the 2020 Lakers could beat the 2008 Celtics. Thoughts?
No chance.
Zero chance.
If LeBron in his maybe not
have
his prime.
Have you seen Uncut Gems?
Have you seen Uncut Gems? You can put that mineral in Kevin Garnett's hands. He can't be stopped.
He cannot. They're winning championship
but that
after
being
championship.
Said, if a young LeBron couldn't beat the 08 Celtics, there's no chance old LeBron can. I don't think so.
I think that Kevin Garnett and Kendrick Perkins would take Anthony Davis's lunch. I think they would.
You're playing prime Pierce, prime KG, prime Perkins, prime Rondo, prime Ray Allen.
Oh, it's going to be Rondo versus Rondo.
What a game. That would
young Rondo versus old
Young
Rondo.
Rondo versus old Rondo.
Wow, that's a pretty intense
I take
matchup.
young Rondo every day of the week.
There's definitely some bows being thrown. There's definitely some punches thrown.
Is Marquise Daniels on that 08 team?
No, he wasn't. It was a couple years. He
that would have been
Marquise
Scal,
Daniels.
James Posey, Eddie House, Leon Poe. Oh, we roll, man. We roll.
That team was the most complete team I've seen in a long time. Kendrick Perkins, like the fact, and I met people saw the post. When I saw Kendrick Perkins at the game, I was like, you were the centerpiece of that. You were the most.
Did you tell him that?
Yeah, I was like,
really?
you were the focal point. You were the reason we won that championship.
What did he say?
He's like, thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Aw.
I said the same thing to Paul Pierce. No, I'm just kidding.
Every single Celtics player you meet, man, you were the reason.
The team also completely imploded when we traded him for Jeff Green. So
it was. I told him. I said that was the worst move Danny Ainge has ever made. I was like, you should never have been traded. Nothing against Jeff Green because
you said that to Kendrick Perkins. You said you never should have been traded.
I said that. I was like, that was the reason we never won championship again.
What did you say? That like, oh,
I was like, I appreciate it, man.
That's a riot.
I'll defend Kendrick Perkins till I die. He was the reason. He was. Look at the championships going, like the championship runs going forward. Kendrick Perkins gets hurt. I think that was the year we got bounced by the Magic. Was that the year we got bounced?
I think that was the year KG got hurt.
KG gets KG
and then
gets
he
hurt.
was out for Game 7 against the Lakers in 2010.
Perkins.
Yes, Perkins.
Yeah. So we lose that Lakers series. Perkins is in the game. We don't lose that series. I would put everything I own. I put my Ted Williams bobblehead that could be ranged anywhere from $2 to $200, maybe more. I put that on the Celtics winning that championship
KG,
series.
this is how I win, KG. KG, you gotta practice, KG.
All right, that's enough.
That movie
That's pretty good.
stressed me out,
That's
man.
a pretty good impression.
I got a really good it impression.
I don't want to see it. I hate it.
Anyway,
But yeah, that was my little Kendrick Perkins. I also said when I saw Gordon Hayward in the airport, I said, "Good." What did I say to him? I said, "We're all rooting for you," or something like that. I was like, because it was right after he hadn't played yet. It was like he was coming back from his ankle injury. I was like, "We're all pulling for you, Gordon. You're gonna have a great year." He didn't do much last year. No, he did. He did pretty well last year, right? I forget. 2 years coming back from his ankle injury.
No, it was not good.
It was not good. Yeah, I tried to give him some confidence. Didn't work, but I was positive with him. Tried to get on the seat next to him, but
That probably turned his mindset around.
yeah.
that was. It got him.
That's
in
what
the, it
did
got
it.
him in the right state of mind. He was coming back.
That
to
one
Boston,
Celtics fan at O'Hare Airport really turned it around for me.
and I took a selfie with him.
There you go.
Didn't ask for an autograph. Just asked for a picture.
Oh, that's nice of you.
Yeah. So,
Gordon Hayward.
God,
Gotta practice, Gordon Hayward.
I was gonna say that about every person.
That's the only impression I got other than my it impression. You want to hear it?
I'm good. I think we're gonna get to our last segment of the episode, the people's topic.
It's the people's topic, baby! People's topic.
So, for people's topic, as always, you can go on our Instagram or Twitter at Big Red Zone. Leave it for us there. You'd also go on our YouTube channel. If you're watching this button, hit the like button and subscribe to our channel. Or you can leave a comment, people's topic in the comments, or tell a friend.
We got through the whole episode without any real like big plugs. Usually you,
I know.
usually
I thought
you
about
slide
that.
in like a
I
plug
thought
every
about
now
that
and again.
right now, and now I'm disappointed in myself. Thank you.
First people's topic comes from at griffin.boodoin. It looks like French or something. I don't know. What's your thoughts on Nikhil Harry so far this season, and what would you consider a successful season for him?
When Cam's in, he looks pretty good. I think he's looked pretty good with Cam in the game. I think he's got for a stat perspective, he's got to have close to double-digit touchdowns, right? A really successful year is like anywhere from 800 to 1,000 yards and like 10 touchdowns. I'd like to see that. That's a really successful season. But making a difference, being like active in the games, I think that's all you can ask for.
For Nikhil Harry, I think he's looked good so far. He definitely hasn't looked like the receiver I think we all expected. Getting drafted out of
We could have had DK Metcalf.
we could have had DK Metcalf, but is he DK Metcalf? No.
I'm not ready to give up. I love
No.
Nikhil Harry.
I'm not saying I'm giving up on him, but he looks good so far. And I think him having a successful season is consistently scoring touchdowns, consistently being able to hang on to the ball, and just being a good target for Cam Newton to throw to. That being said, he definitely needs to keep ratcheting up. He needs to keep progressing. I personally don't know what the ceiling is for him, but I do know that he definitely has more room to grow.
Healthy and
Yes, staying healthy is
being
a huge
consistent.
one. Huge one.
I don't know why I just got reminded of this. This is more of a Danny football question.
all right, I'll go. Call me back when you're ready.
All right. This is now the Danny football zone.
Yeah.
Boom. Crop him out.
Do you know, I literally don't know why I thought of this. Retribution on Raw, like that whole angle or whatever?
Yes.
The tall
Yeah.
dude with dreads, his name is Mace.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Me and him had the same babysitter.
What?
Yeah.
Is he from Mass?
It's from Easton.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
it's from Northeastern.
John, you got a way better reaction out of Danny football than who do you throw that out to? Didn't you say something to?
Oh. To Ty, I think.
I think it was
to
Ty.
Ty
Shout out
Schwab.
Ty.
Because they
That-
played on, it was your Ty, no, Jared.
Jared. Well, shout out
'Cause
Ty.
I
He just
think
got
they were on
signed
the-
by some
shout out Ty.
by the
Spring
I don't
football
know.
Spring
league.
Football League. Thank you, Danny Football.
Yeah. I don't know what, Larry, don't know why. But
Definitely
I used
gotta-
to play GameCube with him.
Definitely
Yeah.
got a way
With
better
Mace?
reaction.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Well, actually, I used to play GameCube alone. He would play PlayStation. Like, they'd be playing PlayStation. He has a brother who also played for, like, Ohio State. They'd be playing, like, Madden or whatever, and they'd be playing on PlayStation, and they'd give me, like, a GameCube controller. I was young.
So we just need to wait for John to become a WWE superstar, and that babysitter will have created two wrestlers.
His real name is Brian Williams. He was on commentary for like a month.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
And Brock Lesnar put him through a table.
Yeah.
All right,
Hope
when
you're
do we
doing
want to?
okay.
You had a way better reaction out of Danny Football.
Do we want to let him back into the podcast?
Yeah, we can let Big Red back into the Big Red Zone.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Second question comes from @PWillis17 on Instagram.
Oh God.
Oh no, Paige.
What are you expecting something bad?
No, I'm gonna give you a chance here, Paige.
A lot of NFL players have started to show their frustrations while playing through COVID. Do you think a players' revolt is possible?
She had me in the first half. I'm not gonna lie. Paige, I'm gonna look into the camera directly because I know you're gonna watch this. The players will not revolt violently, because I feel like that's what you mean. Violently, they could strike. Sure.
I don't think that's what
Strike
she means.
is definitely the term.
I think strike is a better term.
I like to think Paige thinks they're all gonna rise up in like pitchforks and torches. So no,
Good.
Paige, you're wrong. You're wrong, Paige.
I don't think they're gonna. I don't think they will. It depends on how much. I mean, there's a lot of injuries going forward. COVID's running rampant in the league. But as far as like Danny Football said, a pitchfork revolt, I don't think so.
I started laughing earlier when you were talking about COVID, and you said, "Yeah, this COVID's crazy, huh?" We're like 8 months into it, and you're like, "Yeah, this COVID thing's like crazy.
It's not going away.
It's getting nuts, huh?
It's ramping up.
It's getting nuts, huh?
Oh, jeez. All right. Next one from @AnthonyAmbrose51. They ask, less of a question, more of a topic. NBA Finals. I feel like we already covered that pretty substantially, though.
Yeah.
What
But thank you for writing
Just
in.
that in general.
They just want us to talk about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which we did.
I'm so
Yeah.
sorry.
So,
Sorry.
last one from @Joseph_Celia.
Thought you were gonna hit the symbol.
It's too much. Which non-star players in the NFL do you think would thrive on the Patriots?
Non-star.
Like a diamond in
Non-star.
the rough type deal.
Hunter Renfro. He has a Patriot written all over him.
That's a good one.
Alvin Kamara, Russell Wilson.
Chase Claypool.
Yeah, Chase Claypool.
Literally, Chase Claypool.
You know who would actually be pretty good here is
Ty Schwab, Jared Davis,
No, they would be awesome. Dennis Clifford.
Dennis Clifford.
I think we mentioned Dennis in every episode. Well
Yeah.
deserved. I think. I know you're not a fan of him, but David Johnson would maybe thrive here.
Oh
He would be
my
like a guy
God.
that would be like a guy. You hate David Johnson.
We don't need a
You hate
ninth
it.
running back.
No, but I mean, Sony Michel is going to be out for the rest of the year, pretty much.
Okay, so then we have Damian Harris, James White,
But I mean, Damian Harris and James
JJ
White,
Taylor.
they're not bell cows. They're guys like
We've
goal
never had a
line
bell
guy.
cow. We
Yes,
haven't had a bell
a
cow
goal
since
cow, a goal line back that battles through the line. We've had
Garrett Blunt.
LeGarrette Blunt, and what happened when we had LeGarrette Blunt?
We won the Super Bowl.
We won the Super
Are
Bowl.
you saying David Johnson is LeGarrette Blunt?
No, but I think he has similar qualities to LeGarrette Blunt. Like
miss Josh
he's
Gordon.
big.
Oh,
Josh.
Josh Gordon. I love
Would have
Josh
been nice to
Gordon.
have Josh Gordon on our team, huh?
Where's he now?
He's waiting to be
suspended?
reinstated
Oh, that's
with the
right.
Seahawks. Once he gets reinstated, he's on the Seahawks.
Yeah.
Yeah, remember when we had Antonio Brown, Josh Gordon, and Edelman all on the same receiving core? Crazy
That was
times,
nuts.
guys.
We saw Flash Gordon catch a touchdown live
Yeah.
in New Jersey.
In New Jersey, in the Jets. In Gronk. Saw Gronk score in that game too.
Edelman, I think, too.
I don't know if
I don't
Edelman
remember.
scored. Gronk definitely scored because I remember I traded him to someone in that. It was a fantasy football outing. We drove up to New Jersey. I don't know if you've heard
I
this
don't know
story.
if we ever told this story on the podcast.
I don't
we
think
talked about
we
it.
talked about
I
it.
don't know. Maybe it's a next week story if we remember.
I mean, we're in it. We might as well.
it's not that long of a story.
Yeah, it's a quick
Go
one.
for it.
So one night, randomly, our fantasy football group chat, someone was like, "We should go to a Pats game." And in the midst of it, we're like, "It's too expensive to go in New England." So we're like, "Let's go to let's go to the Jets game or the Bills game." And we just picked a random the Jets game. They were playing at the Jets at 1:00 on a Sunday. We just randomly that night all bought tickets. All but one of us went, and it was like one of the best times. Like it was so fun going to that game. It was freezing.
How much
It's like a
does it go?
4-hour drive.
How much does it cost for the Meadowlands?
It was like $90, $100
Really?
ticket.
Wow.
Nosebleeds.
Yeah, it was cheap.
Wow,
We
that's
sat-
the Pats,
yeah, we
man.
sat way-
Goddamn.
We sat way up. And I feel like we've told the story. I don't know if we just told the story to people. We had a motley crew go to that game. We had a bunch of people. Everyone was in random jerseys. When I say random jerseys, I think someone had a Drew Bledsoe jersey,
Aaron Rodgers
jersey.
I think I was probably in Corey Dillon. I was in a knockoff. I think I was in a knockoff Brady jersey.
Yeah, someone was wearing Corey Dillon. Someone was wearing Steven Gostkowski, Gronk, and Edelman, whatever. Obviously Brady. And every single time Steven Gostkowski would kick a field goal or kick an extra point, the guy shout out Mike. Mike was wearing the Steven Gostkowski jersey. It started with him standing up and he would go.
He'd point to
the back of his jersey. And we would all hold up a 3. We'd all hold up 3 fingers when he'd go out to kick a field goal. And the people behind us were getting so livid. Someone threw a cup at us.
Mm-hmm. The guy, my favorite is at the end of it, we killed the Jets. And at the end of it, we're like celebrating. We're being obnoxious.
Yeah.
Like we're absolutely being obnoxious. And one of the guys in a couple rows back goes, all Jets. He's like Jets face paint, like totally Jets from head to toe. He goes, good for you guys. You beat the Jets.
It was such a fun day, but I remember that it was a fantasy football outing, and I remember I traded Gronk to someone, and he scored 2 touchdowns in that game. I was like, "You stink."
We shouldn't have went.
What?
We shouldn't have went.
We shouldn't have went.
We shouldn't have even gone.
No, that was a fun time. And John used his disposable camera at that game, old school. For all those that don't remember, you can buy.
It wasn't disposable; it was still film. Yeah,
film camera, which is for the people that don't know what that is. It's film that goes in an actual camera, and he just got it developed like a couple of weeks ago. That was kind of cool to see.
Yeah,
but is that the last? Joseph Celia.
Yeah,
Joseph Celia finishes it off. Well, thank you to everyone that wrote in. Remember, you can write in anytime. I know a couple of those were written in right after the last episode. So write it in on our Instagram at Big Red Zone or Twitter at Big Red Zone. You can leave us a comment on our YouTube channel. Hit the like button, subscribe. Leave us a comment on Apple Podcast. And
tell a friend.
I
didn't know if you were waiting for me or John.
I was waiting for someone to say it. I'm glad you jumped in.
And leave a review on Apple Podcasts.
That's what I said.
Said comment.
A comment.
They're gonna get confused.
They're gonna get confused.
They're gonna be looking for the comment button, and it's the review button.
Where is it's the review. I'm sorry.
And also tell a friend.
Tell a friend.
Tell your mom.
Please tell everyone.
Tell your mom.
Tell your
Tell
dad.
everyone.
We know he likes sports.
Yeah. Tell anyone that they don't even have to
Your
like
dog.
sports.
Tell your dog.
Tell your
Tell your
dog.
dog.
Leave it on for your dog while your dog's home alone.
Yeah.
Type it into your Zoom class chat.
Yeah. I should do that for my classes. I'll just leave it in all the classes.
Start marketing the podcast during your Zoom classes.
All my classes I teach.
Or just for like one class, just stream an episode.
Yeah.
Like on Zoom.
I'm going to put that in as homework. You guys got to listen to this for an hour. While you're at home when you're remote, you got to listen to this for an hour. But yeah, that's all we got time for on this week's episode of Big Red Zone. I want to thank producer John and Danny Football for joining once again. Thank you for listening. Have a great week, everyone.